morning, girls, and welcome back to a new video. Today is a weekly reset video. So it is currently Saturday when I'm filming this video, but we are starting our morning off strong. Of course, we have had the protein coffee. So I have 35 grams of protein via my morning coffee. Prior to that, of course, I had my lemon ginger tonic to get the morning started off the way that I do every single day. I did add a little bit of mineral salt under my tongue in the buccal. I hold that for 30 seconds, then I drink down the lemon ginger tonic before moving into the protein coffee. I'm just finishing off a clean, simple eats and cowboy colostrum. So this will give me another 25 grams of protein. And now I'm moving on to a greens. That's the way I start every day. It is a lot of hydration, a lot of drinking, but it's really easy on my digestive system. One, to get in all of my protein and a little bit of a liquid form. You all know I'm not a huge fan of protein shakes in general. The only protein powder that I have come to love is the Clean Simple Eats brownie batter. I will have that linked for you in the description box down below. I also shared exactly how I make this in last week's video, which I will have for you down below as well. And then I'm just going to go ahead and have my greens. This is the time I take my supplements on an empty stomach, so without food. I did have my probiotic first thing this morning with my lemon ginger tonic, and at the same time I did take my NAD. Now that I've had a little bit of protein into me, nearly 50 grams at this point once I finish this, I can go ahead and take my morning supplements. I have gone over in detail the last two videos. Those will be linked for you in the description box down below. My entire rundown of my morning supplement stack. I also have compiled it for you into a very easy link where you can take a peek at everything I take. So the thing with supplementation on a day like today when I need a weekly reset, I have to be super focused. It is first thing in the morning, and as you can probably tell from the lighting around me, it is not sunny. It is the spring here in the Midwest. We are dealing with really sunny, beautiful days. The next day it will snow, and then we will have rain showers for 3 days in a row. When I'm doing a reset, I want my energy to be at its max capacity. So taking things like my vitamin D with my magnesium, getting in a ton of micronutrients via my greens, and then really boosting my energy with protein is super important to ensure that I have stabilized energy throughout the day. So if you missed those last two videos, I will have them linked for you in the description box down below so you can take a deeper look at my supplementation routine. So we have a very full couple of days. I'm doing a weekly reset. I'm also getting the house cleaned and in order. We're going to be prepping some foods for lunch. I'm also going to be prepping a beautiful, bright spring chia pudding that has just hit my membership site, Living Well. So we have a full day cleaning in the kitchen, getting our steps in. Our schedule is jam-packed, and I cannot wait to reset with you girls. fresh batch of the cutest little carrot molds where you slice your oranges, you put it into here and into your ice cube tray, and then we're going to use a little sprig of rosemary and a little sprig of mint as like the top of the carrot. They are so cute for olive spring, Easter, of course, but olive spring. Okay, girls, these are so stinking cute, and when they freeze, I will have B-roll here on the screen of what they look like after they are frozen, but they look like little carrots, right? I mean, a little bit of imagination, but we love to make these seasonal ice cubes. At Christmas time, I always do cranberry and rosemary, and we make it really beautiful. And how cute for spring to do little carrot ice cubes if you're hosting like a girlfriend brunch or a lunch, or you're even having your girls over in the evening and you make one of our beautiful spritzers from Living Well, which there's an abundance of spring spritzers on Living Well, then you could make these ice cubes ahead of time and serve it to them. It's so cute, and you're practically Martha showing off your skills. I'm just wiping the water off this tray. Therefore, once it's frozen, I can actually remove the ice cube tray from this tray here, but I'm going to pop this into the freezer. They will be perfect and ready here in a couple of hours. And honestly, this is just a fun way to celebrate spring. Okay, off camera, really quickly with the kids, we did just make these delicious little pizza bagels while I was waiting for the produce to dry out. So this is just the Canyon Bakehouse plain bagels. Then we just did pizza sauce. We did the Whole Foods organic pizza sauce, no homemade pizza sauce, mozzarella cheese that I had just shredded, and some of the Applegate Farms turkey pepperonis. And so the kids and I just made these as their little lunch. They each had like a half. You know, sometimes on the bagels, there's like a thinner half and a thicker half. They each had like 2 thin halves, and they loved them and inhaled them. So I'm gonna pack these up and save these as a snack either later today or as a snack tomorrow afternoon. But this was definitely a fun activity. I was going to get the camera out, but they were so hungry and so ravenous that I was like, it's not the time. But it was really that simple. It was just the Canyon Bakehouse bagels, a little bit of the organic pizza sauce from Whole Foods, some mozzarella that I had already shredded 2 days ago, and then that Applegate Farm turkey pepperonis. Honestly, I have been walking circles around my kitchen all day long. I think I'm going to get myself changed and take myself out for a walk. It was pouring down rain, and now it's beautiful and sunny, and I think it's like 68 degrees. So we're gonna get out of this sweatshirt, we're gonna get out of these sweatpants into some leggings and get outside and get some steps in. Whenever I'm focusing on a reset and a little bit of self-care, for me, my favorite way to get in self-care is getting my steps in, especially when it's outside. Sometimes it's beautiful, sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's snowing. It just depends on the weather. But every time I say this, and I used to say it all of the time, the last couple of springs, I would say to you girls that I take myself outside like a puppy, like take myself out for a walk. And I think of it that way. Like I think about a dog that has like zoomies that's running in circles. That was me around the kitchen island for like literally the last 4.5 hours. So now we're gonna reset, we're gonna get outside, we're gonna get some fresh air, get some steps in, and come back inside feeling completely rejuvenated. can sense it, girls. It feels like the seasons are shifting. It is beautiful and sunny. It was a little bit chillier out than I had anticipated. So I had on my vest and 2 sweaters, but honestly, I think where I live is just kind of like a wind tunnel. Like it's constantly windy. There's always garbage blowing everywhere. We must be in some sort of setting where there's an abundance of wind. But while I was getting my steps, the kids were riding their bikes. The kids are home because it's the weekend. The kids were riding their bikes, which was so nice. Ronan was playing basketball. Sawyer was doing a little bit of pickleball. I was getting my steps in, and I'm listening to a new audiobook. My phone is behind me on the windowsill behind me charging, but I will put a picture of it here on the screen. So while they were off playing with their friends, I was like lapping around the park, getting my steps in where I could still see them and listening to my audiobook, which was just like, honestly, so lovely. It's 68 degrees, definitely breezy. I know I was very bundled up for 68 degrees, but something about that wind just like had me chilled to my bones. And then I just came in and I made a none other than my beloved ginseng tea, the apple mint ginseng tea. It is so delicious. I have probably 2 to 3 cups of it a day. I'm still drinking my lemon balm tea most nights before bed, unless I've had like a really heavy meal, then I will do my peppermint tea before bed. But most of the time I'm still doing my lemon balm tea before bed. This was like bothering me over my shoulders. And the ginseng tea, I'm doing one at like 11 o'clock in the morning, then another one probably around like 2, and then one while I'm cooking dinner if I'm not having a spritzer. So at least 2 a day, sometimes 3. And getting outside, getting my steps in is such a beautiful way to embrace self-care, because it is very easy for us, and I'm speaking to us as in Jessica editing this video right now, and probably all of you girls as well. But it is very easy for us to get stuck doing all of the things on our to-do list. Believe you me, this weekend, my to-do list is 1.5 miles long, and I have an abundance on my plate. Personal life, in my professional life, all really good things, nothing to be concerned about, but a lot on my plate right now that could leave me feeling very, very stressed out. And so bringing in self-care practices like going out and getting in a couple extra 1,000 steps while being outside in the fresh, beautiful spring air with the kids and bringing in that self-care practice. Then also listening to my audiobook and coming in and having my favorite tea as I sit down and I look at some emails and my to-do list, honestly, is such a beautiful practice for me, because moving my body, getting outside, getting that fresh air, all of that supports my nervous system at such a beautiful and deep systemic level. Like, I am so grateful for having these beautiful self-care practices that not only support my mind, but my body as well. That deep cellular processes of lowering your cortisol and supporting your nervous system. And so I like to take this time right about now to go from either mom mode to work mode, or work mode to mom mode, and just do like a pause and a little bit of a reset. So I did come into the office. It is the weekend, but as a business owner, I work 7 days a week, quite literally 7 days a week. So just getting grasp of my personal to-do list. I have to order some birthday presents for people. Also taking a look at my emails, my work to-do list, and just getting everything settled for the week is a really helpful way for me to support my body. Also at this time, I like to bring in a little bit of my afternoon supplementation when I'm doing my reset tea. And so I, of course, as always, take one of my BioOptimizer's magnesium breakthroughs. I have been taking this magnesium for over 3 years, and it is something that I absolutely do not miss. I take one in the morning with my vitamin D and my morning supplement stack. I talked about that in last week's video and the week before. I will link those videos for you in the description box down below. I also take one right around this time. So somewhere between 2:45 and 3:45 in the afternoon, I like to take a second magnesium. And then of course, I always take 2 of the magnesium breakthrough right before bed in order to get the most beautiful, deep restful sleep. But the reason why I take magnesium earlier in the day is that first one helps me metabolize and synthesize my vitamin D, which is a very important hormone precursor. Right now, I like to take one to kind of take the edge off before I really dive into that mom mode. And during the week, that can look like unpacking backpacks and getting dinner prepared, after school snack, getting everybody dressed and changed for after school activities, doing homework, and also finishing up the end of the day emails. That can be a really intense time. On the weekends as well though, right? Like I'm also cleaning and cooking and preparing dinner. Maybe we have friends coming over, maybe we're going out with friends. So I also like to be conscientious about these afternoon supplements, even on the weekend. And so I love the BioOptimizer's Magnesium Breakthrough because it does have all 7 elemental forms of magnesium in one very convenient capsule. As I said, I take one in the morning for energy and cognition to get that ATP going. During the afternoon, I'm taking it to kind of take the ease off. It's not going to knock me out. It's not going to put me to sleep, but it does just help my body feel like I took a big, deep inhale and an even longer exhale. And so when I can kind of have that approach of just feeling like I took a big, deep breath and I don't feel overwhelmed and stressed, I always look forward to that. And then of course, those 2 beautiful magnesiums right before bed to get that deep, restful sleep. I've mentioned this so many times over the years, but I changed nothing in my routine 3 years ago when it came to my sleep other than this product. And when I added in the BioOptimizer's Magnesium Breakthrough, I got a 30% increase in deep, restful sleep. That is life-changing. If your sleep can be 30% impacted in a positive capacity where you get 30% more deep, restful sleep, your output, your energy, your ability to show up as the best version of yourself the next day is going to be exponentially better because of the deep, restful sleep that you're getting. So I'm somebody who does take my magnesium throughout the day, and I highly encourage you to do so as well. Magnesium is one of those supplements that you'll need to play around a bit. Maybe you need 4 of them before bed to increase and impact your sleep. I'm somebody who's been on this product for such a long time that the 4 throughout the day, 1 in the morning, 1 midday, and 2 before bed is like chef's kiss for my body. But if you're somebody who's on a hormone journey, on an energy journey, on a sleep journey, then I would highly encourage you to give the BioOptimizer's Magnesium a try. Magnesium is necessary for over 300 enzymatic properties in the body. So it is a critical mineral that is completely devoid from our soil. So it is something that we absolutely need to be supplementing with. So if you are interested in giving the BioOptimizer's Magnesium a try, I will have my link as well as my code for you in the description box down below, as well as the first pinned comment. Back in the kitchen, and I'm getting ready to prep a little bit of breakfast, or to be quite honest with you, a mid-afternoon snack for the week. I'm only going to be making 3 of them because we will have leftovers for a couple of days for breakfast and lunches. And so I'm gonna make 3 of these. And this is our beautiful lemon poppy seed chia pudding from Living Well. It's one of our new spring recipes. And honestly, it is so crisp, it is so refreshing, and so filling. When you put together these hearty chia puddings, you can also top them with an abundance of ingredients. I am going to be adding in Greek yogurt into the actual chia pudding, but then in addition to that, when I eat the chia puddings out of the jar, I always add another scoop of Greek yogurt on top to really boost up that healthy fat and that protein that will keep you full and satiated, especially alongside the fiber. And that's the beauty and the love of chia seeds, is that they are a rich source of fiber, of calcium, and of iron. And so I love starting my day, especially as the weather starts to get nicer and in the morning I'm craving more fresh foods. This is a beautiful way to incorporate it into your morning routine. whether it's a daily reset or a weekly reset, I always try to fold at least one load of laundry a day. So it's after dinner, I've got the kids in the shower and in the bath behind me, and I'm going to just quickly take this time instead of scrolling on my phone, going through Instagram, or doing any of those things to fold a quick load of laundry. It's one of those things that I implemented right after Sawyer was born. I made a rule that every day I would fold one load of laundry, and it helps me stay on top of the laundry. It's not perfect, but it definitely is a helpful thing. So cleaning up after dinner obviously is always a must. And then getting through at least one load of laundry a day is really good for a daily reset. But for me, on a weekly reset, what I try and do is a little bit more of like deeper cleaning. So you would have saw, I just sprayed down the wooden cutting board with what we talked about last week, the hypochloric acid. Here, you can't see me. I sprayed it down with the hypochloric acid that we talked about last week. Oh, the curtains are closing. With the hypochloric acid that we talked about last week. So that's something I do every single weekend to wash, deep clean the cutting boards. Now, if I do cook raw meat and I chop raw meat on there, I use that after every time I use it in an instance where there's meat involved. But I hadn't used meat on it, but on a weekly reset, I do scrub the cutting board with that hypochloric acid, and then I like to just do a little bit more of a deeper cleaning. So scrub the sink, wipe down the sink. For the most part, I just do a little bit of the Molly Suds sink scrub, and I sprinkle it in there and give it a good scrub. I do all of the sinks on either Saturday or Sunday evening, and it just helps me feel so much better going into the week, knowing my sinks are clean, knowing that I've got food prepped. It just makes life so much easier when you take a few hours, one day a week, and just set it aside to get things done, to wash your produce, prep your produce, do a little bit of that extra laundry, scrub out your sink, and then take a peek at your calendar. And that's what we're gonna do next. After I put away all this laundry, I'm gonna take a good look at my calendar, see what I have coming up this week. It definitely feels like every week is jam-packed with either appointments, things happening at school, field trips, you name it, it feels action-packed. So taking a look at my calendar prior to Monday morning is something that really helps me feel settled. So let's go ahead and get this laundry folded. I could definitely fold 2 loads tonight because I can hear one finishing up in the dryer, but we're just gonna do the one load. We're gonna take a peek at my schedule and get everything organized for the week ahead. I just opened up my computer and I'm taking a peek at the week ahead. I see that there's actually 4 appointments on the schedule, like 3 appointments for the kids, 1 appointment for myself. I'm doing a field trip this week. There's quite a bit of action happening, and we're actually headed out of town next week for a soccer tournament. So looking at everything that I have here helps me kind of divvy up my days. As far as client calls that are already scheduled, I have those times blocked in my calendar. But then as far as things like editing this YouTube video or replying to members inside Living Well, inside of our membership area, working on new recipes. We have a ton of beautiful new spring and summer recipes. Many of them have already been released to you girls inside the membership area. So I'm recipe testing quite a few new recipes this week. Sitting here on the weekend when I don't feel the pressure of being in between meetings, creating content. I say that as I'm talking to a camera right now, creating content, but creating content for Instagram, putting together Instagram reels, Instagram carousels. Those things take, unfortunately, more time than I like to admit, but I have the clarity and the space when I'm doing a weekly reset or a reset on the weekend, when I can kind of have the space to be out of the office a little bit and think about my calendar holistically. It's definitely easier for me to take a bird's eye peek at my to-do list and schedule my days from there. Some days and some weeks are truly scheduled in 15-minute increments, and I don't love it when my weeks are like that, but unfortunately, that's the reality sometimes, and that's definitely been my reality in April. I'm not wishing April away. I love April. I love this season of spring right now, but my April has been action-packed. And so I'm just realistic with my time, that some days are packed in 15-minute increments, where other days I have a little bit of wiggle room because I'm going to be going on a field trip with the kids or volunteering at the school. And that is so important to me. So I would rather have some days jam-packed to give me the flexibility to be open and not be stressed out. The whole theme of today's video is to not be stressed out. And so some days are tighter than others, but recognizing that I do have wiggle room on other days, and also recognizing that simple practices like getting a head start on my laundry, getting a head start on my calendar, jump-starting my breakfasts with my chia pudding, having some ingredients prepped, all of that really does take an immense amount of pressure off of me. And so while I'm in here, I know that this is a highly asked question. I'm also putting together our meal plan for the week. And so for this upcoming week, I do have just like a few meals. Obviously, I have the chia puddings for breakfast, but I do have a few meals that are planned out for me for the upcoming week, and I had already done grocery shopping. So I have on the menu from Living Well, I have our spring greens and grain salad for Monday and Tuesday for myself and Kaya. Then I have our crunchy curry quinoa salad for the next 3 days after that. Then for dinner, I'm keeping it really simple. We will have leftovers on Monday night. So Tuesday, Wednesday, I have the easy Italian chicken and zucchini skillet. I will have pictures here on the screen. I have that for Tuesday and Wednesday. And then for Thursday night, I'm just going to be doing our quick shrimp fried rice because we're leaving Friday to head out of town for the soccer tournament. So I'm not doing too much food, but just like a loose meal plan. Let me know in the comment section down below if you want to see an updated meal plan. I have here on my to-do list that I'm looking at right now to film a weekly meal planning for my family of 4 video in the next couple weeks. Let me know if that's something that would interest you. But that's kind of what I have here on the menu. So I'm looking at my days, I'm looking at my calendar, I'm looking what I have, and I had already done the grocery shopping for this yesterday. So I already have most of the food here. I do need the zucchinis, but I didn't want to buy them too soon because I didn't want them to go bad. But other than that, I pretty much have all of the ingredients in the house. So I don't follow every single day a very strict meal plan, but as you can see, having food prepped, having the produce prepped, doing my protein coffee every single morning for breakfast, then I'm going to be following up with the chia pudding, doing my lemon ginger tonic. Many things in my days are locked that I just do on autopilot. But for the week, I do like to plan about 2 to 3 dinners. That's it, knowing that we'll have leftovers each night. So that gets me 5 to 6 days per week of meals. That's amazing. And then I like to plan about 2 lunches, thinking that that'll cover about 4 days of the work week. Sometimes I will plan 3, or I will double batch it if it's a bean salad, and that'll cover 3 days of lunches and then 2 days with the other recipe that I have planned. But that's kind of like the holistic picture I take. I don't really nail it down that every breakfast, lunch, dinner is planned and snack, because sometimes I just don't feel intuitively like that's what my body wants to eat. And I do loosely follow cycle syncing when it comes to the foods that I'm eating, but I also have 3 other people that I live with. But for myself, I do loosely, I would say like 75% of the meals are arranged around my cycle. So if you're curious about any cycle syncing recipes, I do have an entire playlist of what I eat in a day for my luteal phase, ovulatory phase, follicular phase, and menstruation, and also kind of like my weekly meal planning. If you want me to start that series over and do a fresh batch of inspiration, also let me know in the comment section down below. This helps me feel like I've just taken a really big, deep breath. I see my calendar, I see my schedule, I see my appointments, I see our to-dos, I see the meals that I have here, and I feel really settled. And this makes me feel excited for the weeks ahead. I love a Monday. Like Mondays are so invigorating and exciting for me. Also, it's just helpful for me to focus on my goals and focusing on my family goals, my goals at home, my health and wellness goals. Like all of those things are so important to me. I don't know what exactly that phrase is, like plan to win or plan to fail, but it's something along those lines. But I do that. And then I'm also focused on this week for our movement and lymphatic drainage challenge inside Living Well, getting, of course, my 10,000 steps per day, dry brushing at least 3 times per week, doing some simple legs up the wall, which I'm a huge fan of doing at night and in the morning, and then doing a little bit of like hot and cold contrast in the shower is on my to-do list for this week. So looking at all of these things and breaking them into bite-sized pieces helps me so much. And I get the question of like, how do you do it all and how do you fit it all in and how do you remember? Firstly, I don't do it all. I don't do everything and I don't do it all, but I compartmentalize things and then I blend things together into my lifestyle where it makes sense. And I always am checking in, like, how can I schedule my days for flexibility, but also to be super productive and to get things done, but to leave wiggle room to be a human who sometimes will just scroll on social media or will pick up a book or want to just go out and head out for a 30-minute walk or get a call from the school because somebody's not feeling well. Like I need to have wiggle room as well. But doing these little micro habits definitely takes the stress off if things don't always go as planned, which, spoiler alert, things never, quite literally never go as planned. And that's okay, right? Like it's not an all or nothing mentality here at my home or here in this community. I say that all of the time. I don't do everything all of the time. Things are not always perfect. I can assure you of that. And so having a flexible approach allows me to actually feel inspired and energized to do things that I actually want to do. But I hope that you girls enjoyed today's video. And if you did, you can let me know by giving it a big thumbs up. And now the subscribe button is right over here on the screen. Give that a click. That way you don't miss a single video. And I hope to see you back here next Thursday.